episode 200, and you didn't even get us anything. This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 200 of the O The Anthem podcast. I wish we had done something special, but we didn't.
We just realized it was 200, so... But you know what? 200 consecutive weeks of free entertainment. I think the only suitable present is that you go to wherever you can review podcasts and give us a 5-star rating.
Yeah, that's
200...
Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, where else? Google Play Store, maybe?
Yeah. Wherever you can find somewhere to say the greatness of us, I think is the place to go.
Yes.
YouTube would be a nice place.
Sure, YouTube.
Give a like on the video, subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe and get your notifications turned on, hit that bell. But before we get too far in, it is 9:28 p.m. Pacific. That makes it 12:28 p.m. Eastern, and O The Anthem is live from coast to coast, broadcasting from the #OTALA studios, high above the 110 freeway in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, California. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Make sure that you are going to all your social networks, at O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can like and share all our posts there, and of course you want to be up to date on the most recent things that we're doing. That's the best way to do it. O The Anthem on all your social networks. Sorry, go ahead now.
No, I'm sorry. I forgot that we had more promoting to do.
Right, yeah, of course.
It was a very exciting weekend.
It was, yeah.
We watched the Super Bowl this weekend.
We did. Hopefully everybody out there watched it as well.
I assume a couple people did.
Yeah.
I know it's not a very well-liked event.
Yeah.
Based off of what the president is saying about it, I'm sure that nobody watched except for us. But
the NFL is collapsing. Nobody's watching
7% ratings decreased. You really showed us.
Just like you did the stock market. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. Anyway, yeah. So, Corey, you didn't make any of the actual party for the game watching, right?
I made the after party, I guess.
Right, yeah. But you did get a chance to watch it from wherever you were out in Sun Valley, which is basically the other side of the world from here.
It's not that far. It's just a little bit further than Burbank.
Okay, fair enough. But so you got to watch it, obviously.
So, I was on set this weekend doing reshoots for A Child's Voice, which I've written about on my blog, which you can find at CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com/blog/A Child's Voice, if I got that correct.
Sure, that's really easy to remember.
Just go to CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, go to the blog, and one of the most recent ones will be A Child's Voice. That's where you want to go. Anyway, we were doing reshoots just to fill out the whole narrative a little bit, and obviously, we're shooting during the Super Bowl. It's not the most ideal of circumstances. But, I had the phone that was capable of watching the game. I brought in a Bluetooth speaker, and I set up like a little area for people to watch the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I was sort of in and out. Obviously, we were shooting for most of the day. But,
right.
I saw the trick play by the Eagles at the end of the first half. I saw
that's beautiful.
JT's halftime show. I saw... the end of the game. Like, we all stopped when it was like 2 minutes left. We're like, hey, can we just take a break? Watch the last 2 minutes of the Super Bowl.
So,
getting awfully exciting here.
One of the best parts is that the Patriots try to pull a trick play, doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But then on 4th and goal, the Eagles pull a very similar play, and they do pull it off.
I like the
fantastic.
My favorite meme of that was the guy she tells you you are versus the guy she tells you to not worry about.
Yes,
and it's Wentz and Brady both trying to catch passes.
I also like the Lombardi Trophy that is slipping out of Brady's hands. Yeah. Oh, it's so fantastic.
Oh.
Now I know we have a lot of viewers who are from the New England area, and I want to say that we're being a little mean towards the Patriots, but. You guys couldn't cheat your way into another championship. So
at this point, like, it's like what I was saying about the Red Sox last night.
Mm-hmm.
When the Red Sox were the lovable losers, the futile bunch out of Boston. It was really exciting to root for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
To try and get that World Series, and then you guys took that one good act and ruined it all with the way you decided to treat everybody for the remaining, for all the years that followed it. Red Sox fans have been the worst ever since they won a World Series. And that kind of arrogance just went right into the Patriots with their dynasty. And I'm like, I'm sick of it. They need to be brought back down to the same level they were before. They were like the
Lovable losers.
It's not even it was like the crotchety. Like, yeah, of course it went wrong because we all live in Boston. That's how it happens.
Right.
That's where I want Boston to be again. I want them to be like fruitlessly incapable.
Speaking of one good thing, by the way, yeah, Philadelphia, you guys won a Super Bowl. Congratulations. Maybe don't burn down your town while celebrating said Super Bowl win.
Or, you could. I don't know.
I love that. Once again, the police.
I would love nothing more if the celebration just took on other cities. It's just like, Philadelphia's moving down 95, Dover's on the list. It's starting to burn and flip cop cars
all the way through. But yeah, so the police once again were greasing. They were once again greasing the telephone and light poles to make sure people didn't climb them. By the way, didn't work.
Yeah.
Nope, people still climbed. There was thousands of people marching in the street, which just reminds me, by the way, not to bring your celebration down at all, but in Ferguson a couple of years ago, you were doing mass arrests for people who were protesting for civil rights. But since it's a celebration of a Super Bowl win, it doesn't matter that they're breaking windows on storefronts, that they're turning over cars, that they're setting fires. These things are all okay, so long as it's white people celebrating a Super Bowl and not black people.
I have a new idea.
Okay.
Because clearly the problem is that when the black people who are doing it are getting arrested, it's because they're doing it negatively.
Sure.
I'm angry at the police department.
Okay.
I'm angry at the justice system.
Sure.
Whereas with like Philadelphia winning, they're happy that the Eagles won.
Okay.
If it's done in happiness, then it's completely different. So just figure out some sort of way to like rephrase it so that it seems like it's a happiness thing when it's actually an anger thing.
Well, I mean, those guys on Camden Street who were busting up that cop car, they looked pretty happy to me. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know if the happiness is really the key.
But I'm saying it's not the personal happiness of the people involved.
Okay.
It's the getting the narrative out there that this is a happiness thing,
I think
it's not like we're not rioting, we're not uprising.
Right.
We are celebrating we're celebrating the civil rights that we will hopefully one day get.
I think that you are focusing that if we change the mentality of the rioters, that changes it. I think if we just had a bunch of white people out on the street protesting civil rights, that we'd be fine. The cop would just let us go.
It's like when let me give you another example of this. So if they say that if you hear a politician say something like tax relief,
mm-hmm.
it means that you're going to get a temporary, you're going to get more on your taxes, your refund, in this year because it's tax relief.
Right.
But you're going to be paying for it the following year.
And for the 30 years after that.
Right.
Now the rich people
get the one tax break.
Unless
they call it tax relief to make you sound like it's like this great thing that you're getting.
Unless you're in the top 1%. Then that tax relief continues on and on on forever.
Clearly.
I just don't assume that many people who are listening to the show are in the 1%. So, I mean, if you guys are, we had a Patreon for a while. What the fuck?
Yeah, come on. 200 whole episodes you had.
But I want to say a special shout out and a best wishes to Burns and to Rob Clark, who are two very strong Philadelphia Eagles fans who finally got their payoff day.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been a punching bag of us Ravens fans for a long time now. But the Eagles pulled it out. So congrats to you two. I hope that Rob was actually in Minneapolis, which must have been insane. Burns was actually in Philadelphia. I can't imagine. I hope you both got out alive.
I heard Minnesota was even getting a little bit antsy. Like the Philadelphia contingent in Minnesota was.
Of course they were. The cops in Philadelphia should have called Minneapolis and been like, "Hey man, Crisco on the light poles. That's the key."
Clearly works.
It does.
Nobody was climbing light poles last week.
Just, I mean, it was the end of. Our season as Ravens fans couldn't have gone worse. Middling to bad all season long.
It could have been. We could have been the Browns.
True. Okay, yes. So, but as a Ravens fan, we have expectations. Yeah. And it's not to just barely beat the Browns.
Right.
It's not to be middling to bad all season long. It's not to get to the last game of the season where you win and you're in and lose. And it's not to see the Patriots once again make their way to a Super Bowl.
The Ravens are kind of like John Stamos. Like, they expect to be getting getting a certain amount of attention.
Yes, yeah.
And when that attention wanes, it's like, wait a minute, am I not as handsome as I used to be? No.
That could
I'm
be
John Stamos. It's other people who've changed.
Right, yeah. But so the Eagles have saved us from the last
New
humiliation.
England's like Rob Lowe. They're just as, if not more attractive, but for some reason people seem to not like him very much.
Maybe it's his attitude.
Maybe
Could be his attitude. But the only thing that could have been worse is to have the Patriots win the Super Bowl, and the Eagles saved us from that.
Yes.
Ill fate.
Thank you so much to the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles for doing that.
Now, we will be back to hating you next fall.
Oh, yeah,
so
good.
don't.
I'm going to go back to hating you tomorrow.
Yeah. Don't let that go to your head. But, for right now, we're all friends, so we can enjoy it and let Robin Burns have their moment in the sun. But that's it.
I will say this. Did you feel a little bit like you should have put a bet on the Super Bowl before you left Vegas last week?
Yes.
I mean, I know it's the regret of not placing the bet and thinking about it in hindsight, and I was just like, I totally would have bet the Eagles. I totally would have done it. I could have put $50 down and made myself whatever it was, like
a lot. Yeah, actually. I mean,
it's like a 7-point spread or something like that. So
no, it was. I think it was 6 at game time. When we were there, it was probably more because they were just saying the Eagles were not going to compete at all. But
then it's also that thing like, oh, of course I would have bet on that after the fact.
Yes.
Like, after you already know the outcome, you would have.
Well, and the other side of it is, when it was like 2 minutes in, or 2 minutes left, I would have been pulling my hair out. Where it looks like they're going to clear, but they're, oh God, are they not going to beat the spread?
Brady's getting the ball back with 1 timeout and a 2-minute warning to go.
Yes. A guy who never falters in the fourth quarter of the playoffs, and yet through the phantom football.
I love, the thing I do like about Tom Brady, it's like much like I like how Ben Roethlisberger gets hit and falls like a building that's getting collapsed. And that's entertaining to me.
Yes.
I like how Brady will do things to make it look like he can make a argument to the refs.
Right.
So, like, that ball was stripped, like, on the way back.
Yeah.
But then he continued with the throwing motion.
And he's just like...
So, like, after he was done, he could have been like, I was going forward. Why didn't you throw the flag, please?
And they did review it. They did review the play.
Yeah, true.
And maybe they gave him what he wanted, but there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough video evidence to turn it over for the Patriots.
There wasn't enough hundos in the pocket.
Yeah. Hey, next time maybe tip a little better. You know
sometimes what I mean? A couple hundos go pretty far.
Especially if you're a ball boy deflating footballs. Anyway, that's a scandal for a previous year, not for this year.
Or a guy who's videotaping the practices of the other team. Oh, true. That's another year too.
Yeah, totally.
I shouldn't go back.
Or if you're the guy who's disconnecting headsets of the opposing team.
Yeah.
That was a previous year, too.
That was a previous year as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe the time that you had somebody on the field with video cameras and NFL film gear to make themselves
look official
and just point them at the coaches so they could steal all the hand signs.
Yeah. That was a previous year, too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. I got one. I got one from this year.
Go ahead.
Signing James Harrison to beat the Steelers in the divisional round.
Okay, that was this year.
That was this year.
But to be fair, I don't blame the Patriots for that. I blame the Ravens for not picking up Harrison at the end of the season, because that was a stupid move. We should have. But the Patriots made a smart move, and the Steelers made a really stupid move, taking a franchise guy who loves your city and loves your team and just throwing him away. Because why not?
Yeah.
So anyway, enough about the Patriots. I don't want to talk about the Patriots. We can talk about the Eagles and their fantastic show, finding a way to win, going for it on 4th down twice, and both times coming up with it. Like, you can't beat that.
Torrey Smith.
Oh, yeah.
I love me some Torrey Smith. Real quick, before we move on, while we're still on football, but moving towards Ravens.
Okay.
How do you feel about Ray Lewis getting the call to Canton, Ohio?
It's the kind of thing where, like, I'm torn. I'm torn about it, honestly. Like, his history makes me iffy about the whole situation.
Yeah.
The criminal history, I mean. But, I mean, listen, he's a guy who, if anyone is made up for the crimes or the stuff of his past, it's him. He's been super inspirational. He led the team to the Super Bowl in his retirement year. Like, it's a guy you have to give it to.
I seem to remember when Ray Lewis was in the middle of every Raven kneeling, you said this made up for any sins he might have committed before.
Yes. Except for if you remember, I also said later that I realized he went down on both knees in a prayer stance instead of the one knee.
Yeah.
So that didn't make up for, it turns out it doesn't make up for all the sins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I need you to be not wishy-washy. But listen, the Hall of Fame is supposed to be on what you do as a player. And you can't beat the fact that the Ravens had the best defense in football for most of the years that Ray Lewis was leading them. You can't deny that fact. They went to 2 Super Bowls with him on the team. You can't beat that fact.
It's tough to not have a great defense though when you have Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs.
Yeah,
for most of it.
Yeah. But nonetheless, they had a great defense. He led that defense, and there's nothing on the field that would make me think that he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, there's no allegation that he was using PEDs or...
Well, except for that deer antler spray that he used before the Super Bowl.
Listen, here's
the thing. This is one of those situations. Ray Lewis is retiring.
Yeah.
And he has a torn bicep muscle, and he's trying to get back for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like... At times like this, I kind of don't even care about steroids. I don't care about steroids either way. I just sort of like to. I would like you to have to declare them.
Right. I am using steroids.
I'm currently using steroids to get back on the field quicker.
Yeah.
I'm not using steroids to get bigger and stronger and already healthy. I'm just trying to get back.
Sure.
I feel like I'd be more accepting of it if it just. I mean, obviously you can't because then you'd be incriminating yourself. But
yeah.
I don't know.
But, I mean, for the majority of his career, not the one where he was 43 and playing in the NFL and injured and trying to get back. But for most of his career, the criminal stuff is what came out. That was what caused him problems. It wasn't the on-field performance. So all of those factors considered, I think you have to be okay with him getting a first-round vote. And we don't have very many Ravens in the Hall of Fame, so I'm glad to see somebody else.
One so far.
Yeah.
Just J.O.
Yeah.
But also... First 2 draft picks in the franchise's history are going to the Hall of Fame.
Does not...
good.
Yeah.
Also, just real quick, again, because Ravens news. Ozzie Newsome, do you have any particular...
I think that we're going to find out more about this story as the winter goes on. I feel like that there may have been a power shift inside the organization, and somebody's forcing him out.
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
You think he's just done?
Well, no, because apparently what Bisciotti and Ozzie have both said is that they have agreed that he was going to sort of curtail his GM duties over the next 5 years. Like, he signed a contract extension, and at some point during this time, he was going to step down and let Eric DaCosta take over, because Eric DaCosta had sort of been waiting in the wings, like turning down GM jobs left and right to take over for Ozzie at some point. And Ozzie will essentially do the same job he does, only he's not going to have, like, final decision.
Right.
But he's going to be in, like, a council of elders, if you will. Like, Steve Bisciotti has said he'll be the highest paid scout in NFL history.
Okay.
So, like, that's a sense, you know.
But that's what we want him for.
Yeah, like, I sort of see him more as, like, a, like, he'll be around. He'll certainly be doing things, but he won't be on it 90 hours a week like he is when he's GM.
True.
He'll be able to have more of like a 40-hour week where he can spend time with his kid or his grandkids and stuff like that.
As long as he's involved in the draft process, that's really what we need him in there for. So
he'll be like, hey, take this Kyle Bullard kid. I bet he's good.
Okay, maybe not all the decisions were great, but you know, I'm saying.
Hey, this is Richard Perryman. He's a can't miss.
All I'm saying is the first 2 draft picks are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth.
Hey, I think that we're going to have more success with Tyrod Taylor than we are with Randy Moss.
Well, first of all, Tyrod Taylor actually turned into a pretty good choice.
First of all, jury's still out on Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
He can make a comeback.
Yeah, I'm just saying, he didn't do so well in Baltimore, but he goes elsewhere and he has some success. So
yeah, he had another 350-yard receiving season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's 350 more yards than Rob has receiving in the NFL.
It's about being clutch. That's what it's. And if you give him an opportunity, I think that history will look kindly on him.
Just one catch to Tyrod. It's
like, you know.
Resolved.
But it puts you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That catch puts you in the playoffs. I mean, if we had him and we needed him for the playoff for our last game of the year, we needed somebody to fucking catch a ball because nobody was doing that for the last part of the season.
I guess he did from time to time have a catch.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to ask you, in all seriousness, what are the conditions of your choosing Zucks?
Mine?
Yeah.
I mean, they're on.
Well, I mean, earlier in the week. because I'm sure they were blown off by the explosive news from the Nunes memo.
So Corey warned me about his transition. And I knew it was going to be terrible. I really did. I didn't realize I was going to have to go to the one shot for the rest of the podcast, because I think after that, he doesn't deserve to actually participate anymore in this podcast. So it's going to be the Rob Hour from here on out. Let's take some call here. Did you sneak into my?
Just sneaked in here.
That was
disembodied head coming straight out of the. Hey.
And of course, if you don't know what we're talking about, that's because you're not watching on YouTube. Make sure you go on over to youtube.com/O The Anthem. You can catch all of our podcasts when we record at /live. Or you can check out all the past podcasts. All the videos are all up at youtube.com/O The Anthem. While you're there, make sure you give us a subscription and hit that bell so your notifications come on. It'll let you know when we're live and when new episodes of the podcast are up.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead and give the people a little information about the Nunes memo.
Well, Devin Nunes, who's a congressman from California, is...
For now.
Until an election happens. I've been awfully close with Trump. Can you put it like that?
Yes.
And he said that he had a shocking memo that they will not allow him to release.
Mm-hmm.
Because the information inside of it is so shocking that it might tear the FBI asunder.
Yeah.
Or asunder.
Asunder.
Yeah, asunder. Yeah. Sorry. Might tear the FBI asunder.
This close.
This close. It's kind of the word. Anywho. And then he releases the memo. The memo gets released, and literally nothing is important.
No.
Like, everything in it is something I've already known.
Yep.
And the parts that they don't include, like the fact that George Papadopoulos was the one who started the entire Russia investigation by getting drunk and blabbing to the Australian diplomats at a bar in Germany or something like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that Carter Page has been under investigation for being a foreign agent since 2013. Or the fact that Paul Manafort, who's running your campaign, has been basically associated with the Kremlin for his entire career.
Yep.
All these things sort of added together as to why we are here currently with the Russia investigation. It has nothing to do with two FBI agents who are seeing each other on the side, or the Steele dossier, which is...
Although it did refer to it.
It did. I mean, that's how they definitely got some of the information to keep it going.
Yeah.
But the thing that they were upset about is that they didn't mention that it was being paid for by a political operative.
Right. By the way, paid for by the DNC, which is not where the Steele dossier started. It started out being paid for by Republicans.
Yeah. And all the judges who sat on the FISA courts were all nominated by John Roberts, who's a Republican. So
nominated by Bush. John Roberts, nominated by Bush, is a Republican, nominated the FISA judges. So I don't really know where you're going with that argument. The bigger part of the discussion was that the Democrats on the committee said that he changed the memo before he sent it to the president and before it got released. So I don't think that the Democratic version of that will ever see the light of day.
It was voted out unanimously out of committee.
Really?
Yeah. Now it's going to the White House to be decided whether or not it can be released. It's 50 pages long, by the way.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Nunes memo, which is like 3.
I don't think that's going to be... Because in the end, here's the deal. In the end, Trump, the president, gets to decide what gets declassified and not. In fact, him literally speaking about something in public makes it unclassified, even if he hasn't previously taken the moves of making it unclassified.
I wonder if somebody's just going to find themselves walking in front of Maggie Haberman of the New York Times and just like, drop it, just walk away.
So, I mean, that's one of the...
Something fell out of my briefcase. Something fell out of my briefcase.
I have started reading, along with Corey, Fire and Fury. And basically, one of the major complaints that Trump has is that it seems as though the FBI and the DOJ are leakier than usual.
Yeah.
But that's because he does things like this, where he'll release the memo that is favorable to him and talks about how the DOJ and the FBI are all against him and the FISA courts are against him, and seems to intimate at least.
I still love when he sent out a tweet going like, these FISA courts are out of control, we need to get rid of them. And then clearly somebody...
John Kelly took his phone.
Clearly somebody came and found him and was just like, hey, we're for FISA now. It's like, oh, okay, right.
But it's been abused in the past and now we need to do better.
Now we need a new version of FISA. This new version that we're voting through, which is exactly like the old one, but has cosmetic changes, I swear it to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Nunes memo at least intimates that everyone is biased against Trump, and that's why he let it be unclassified. I doubt that the Democrats' memo will also be declassified, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I didn't read the memo until right before we went on the show here, before we came live, because I follow on Twitter, and I got basically the gist of the memo just from everyone's tweets. So, by the way, if you're not getting your news from Twitter, what is wrong with you? It's way better than any mainstream media stuff, including some stuff that we're going to get to later in the show. But if Trump wasn't having a bad enough week with this whole discussion about the Nunes memo, it certainly got worse today.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who haven't been paying attention as we go along, Trump had a press conference today where he talked about how strong the economy was. Meanwhile, split screen to the Dow as it plunged all afternoon and saved itself, around 2:33 o'clock. It gained some traction back, but ended up in the worst day of stock losses in history.
You buy points.
By points, sorry. Not by volume, but by points. And I guess to explain that to some people, the value lost, or the points lost today, were more than what was lost on Black Tuesday in 1929.
Yes.
But then the Dow was trading at 5,000 or 6,000, I think.
Yeah, and now it's trading at 25,000.
Right. So losing 1,100 points on a day is a huge loss. It's 1/25th of the value of the market itself. So while the stock in 1929 drop was greater than 1/25th of the value, it was less points to get to that much.
But the interesting thing to watch, and this is, I don't know, I've made a decision in my own life that I wasn't going to learn too much about the stock market, because I feel like if I knew too much, I was going to be like one of those people with like 15 computer screens going like, the Nikkei is opening.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things I could clearly see myself getting obsessed with.
Okay.
And I don't need that. Like, I already spent enough time on fantasy baseball. I don't need stock market things getting in my way. Like, and I don't need to be worried about like calling up people and like, but sell, or anything like that.
It's not really how it works. But yeah, okay, go ahead. Sure.
Clearly, how little I know. But here's the one thing I do know. The stock market is... So we have corrections that happen whenever the stock market goes up. Usually 10% or so is where the correction value lays. And we've lost about like 6%, I think it was. 6 percentage points with the 666 on Friday,
right,
and the 1100 today.
Yeah.
So this is part of the normal operating procedure of the stock market. Usually it doesn't happen all at fucking once like this.
Yeah.
It sort of like does the little cliff thing all the way down to the correction, which would be, another 2,000 points away or so.
Mm-hmm.
Rough math. And there's a lot of people panicking right now because they're seeing it go down so quickly. But you gotta calm down. You gotta just let things happen, and this will go back up eventually.
Well, yes. After 9/11,
unless something catastrophic happens.
Yes, like no one having faith in the government, the administration, to address the issues that are causing it.
Well, I mean, if you think that we're on the verge of a international financial collapse, then yes, this is a bad day and probably the time to get out. But there's not enough legitimate sources saying that that's the case.
Okay. I mean, you and I follow different sources, I suppose, because the Australian markets and the Nikkei opened down worse than they had closed yesterday, or closed Friday. Closed yesterday their time.
Yeah.
So they're Monday. They're already falling. The futures in the European market are also down. The American futures continue to fall as the market after the market closed. So it looks like we could be on the precipice of something much bigger. Corey's very much an optimist, and he's saying, "Hey, it's not a bear market. This is just a correction."
I'm not saying anything yet. I'm just saying that right now it's way too early to call this.
Yeah.
Don't say that we're about to verge into financial collapse any second, because the Dow fell 1,100 points.
True.
But I'm saying also so first of all, people are over-exaggerating because it happened so quick. They're over-exaggerating what very well might be a correction.
Okay, it very well might be.
Right.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of the lemmings in the stock market.
Right. These are lemmings losses.
Yeah. And just a week ago, we were hitting all-time highs of the stock market.
Right.
During the Obama administration, when we cracked 20,000, there were analysts on the stock market who thought we'd never see that number. Now we're at 25.
Right.
So this has been cresting way too high like Icarus has been going way too close to the sun for too long, and is now going to have an adjustment period.
The problem is that the futures market doesn't have the same problem. Even when these corrections occur, the futures market stays strong because the smart people, the rich people, the ones who know how to invest, and not like Corey on this 15 screens, sell, because he sees Jim Cramer like hitting the sell button on TV or something. Those people invest in futures because they know they're going to make a quick buck there, and then they'll reinvest their gains in the market again when it hits the bottom. They'll reinvest and bring it back up again.
Yeah.
The problem though is that futures market is way down, so it looks like people aren't betting that it's going to be a quick recovery from this drop off.
Here's the part that alarms me the most, and that's the fact that so many investments are going through algorithms based on computers. So if you were watching live during the day, at one point it got up to like 1,500 points, and then within the course of 10 minutes or so, it got back up to 700 or so.
Yeah,
because I was to myself watching CNN going like, they keep having to change the graphic because it keeps going back up.
Yeah.
And I know the guys on the board looking at it. It was 900. It was like Dow Jones down 900 plus, and then it would go over 800. I'm sure there was a guy in the room going like, how long can we keep 900 plus up on the screen?
Right.
Before we have to change it to 800.
Yeah.
And then it would be on there for 4 or 5 seconds of trading. They'd be like, all right, 800.
Yeah. And then back down to 11 and. Yeah, so listen, that's how this happens. It's not a fall off.
I would have just said stock market chaos.
Which is what, maybe you should get a job working at CNN.
Yeah. Do the headlines.
But I mean, it's
breaking news.
From moment to moment, these things adjust a lot. But the general downward trend happened from Friday all the way through today. The other thing is it survived a weekend.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these corrections won't survive a big break like that because people come back in on Monday and they say, hey, we're getting back into it. So let's buy while it's low. But that's not happening. And I think
it did go up this morning a little bit.
It recovered some of the losses from Friday.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't up from Friday, but I'm saying if you looked at the day trading, you would see that it spiked a little bit towards 10 o'clock, where it was plus 200 or so on the value it had yesterday.
Right.
And then immediately started going back down.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the nervous traders, the people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, were the Coreys of the world.
Yeah.
Were seeing that it was going up a little bit, and they're like, here's my opportunity. It's going back up.
Right.
And then sell.
Yeah.
And then you're in this situation.
I think that people are more worried about Trump than they're letting on. They're rich people, so they're supposed to be Trump's people. But I think that there's genuine concern, and we are looking at a bear market coming. So that means nothing to anybody who probably listens to this podcast. But keep your money in the market, because when it comes back, and it will come back, the value will still be there. If you sell now, you're losing value from where you got in, most likely. So just stay. But I think there's some rough weeks there.
Any good financial analyst right now is trying to tell everybody to calm down.
Yeah, and buy now, because if we're not at the bottom, we're near it. Now, I don't think that's true. I think there's a lot more to fall, because you're looking at related things too. Cryptocurrency is way down off their high. And by the way,
but I'm saying I am a little bit worried about computer trading.
Okay.
Because it's the type of thing that is not super regulated compared to regular trading, which is even then not regulated at all either. But this is the type of thing that caused the rise of penny stocks. It's sort of the ability to bulk buy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The amount of movement we're seeing in 5-10 minute increments in the stock market is largely based to, like, as soon as a stock hits a certain number, there's an auto sell.
Right.
Or an auto buy thing that causes, tens of thousands of shares to trade in seconds.
And that is what caused the spike at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because it hit a certain number, they bought, and then when it started coming down again, I think somebody was like, all right, sell it and turn off that auto buy because we don't know where it's going and we don't want to be at a loss. So we have somebody in the chat. It's Unbearable Media. Welcome to the show. Yeah, absolutely ask a question. We will get around to it.
And we'll type it in.
Yep.
We'll answer it when we get it.
But, Corey's got a lot more faith. I think that Trump is causing some irregularities in the market. And it's not going to get any better when he's talking about how strong the economy is on a split screen with the Dow plunging.
This is generally the reason why politicians avoid talking about the stock market.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to hold yourself to the to its whims.
Yeah, if you claim success, you have to take the failure. So when it's going up, if you're like, that's due to me, then you have to say when it's coming down, that's due to me too.
Apparently there was people who were saying that the president was saying that this was all Obama's fault.
Yeah,
this
after
Obama-related...
After taking credit.
Not recession, but an Obama-related dip. And everyone was just like, how does that exactly happen? How exactly do you get to that?
Yeah, but again, after taking credit for the rise, now it's Obama's fault that it's falling, which I don't really know how that math works out. But sure, let's just say. But anyway, so we will have to obviously... So we want to make sure you come and join the show at youtube.com/O The Anthem. You can come and be part of the show and put it. And I'm going to read the comment.
Go for it.
All right. So here's Unbearable Media's comment. I don't want to seem like I'm trolling, but why are you doing this when you could focus on starting a family and contributing to America? I think Unbearable Media might be a Trump supporter. Maybe. I don't know.
Probably.
So here's the deal, Unbearable Media. Let's take a little walk down this topic. One, I'm too smart to reproduce. And two, you don't want Corey to reproduce. These are basically the polar ends of the spectrum. People who should reproduce aren't, and people who shouldn't absolutely are.
It's the first minute of idiocracy.
Basically, yes. That's where we are.
I'll put it this way. The reason why I am not starting a family is because I don't have any money to support a family. Now, if my children can eat dirt, then I guess I...
No, wait. You got an extra $150 in your check every single week thanks to those Trump tax cuts.
Well, that's what Paul Ryan says.
Right.
I've been independently verified.
I don't think it really works out for you as an independent contractor either.
No, I'm gonna be paying a lot more taxes than I was a year ago, but that's just because things are different.
Yeah.
Are we Trump haters? Not generally speaking, I don't think. I would say that we don't like when people don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yes.
That's across everybody. Like I don't like Nancy Pelosi, and I don't like Trump for the same exact reason. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. And
I will say, if you go back through the catalog, obviously all of the podcasts are available at otheanthem.com in the audio format. You can find any of them on Apple.
The amount of times I called Stephanie Rawlings Blake Papadoc Duvalier.
I was going to say, you will find that throughout the 3 years that this podcast is running, throughout all 200 episodes, you will see a common theme. Do your job or quit. And we've been echoing that.
I'm going to rip Catherine Pugh tonight, too.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, so our policy has always been, if you're going to run for office, if you're going to be an elected official, do your job or quit. Mm-hmm. And we've said that about Democrats. We've said that about libertarians. We've said that about Bernie Democrats, what independent leftists. We've said it about centrists, Republicans, and Democrats. We are all over the place on our hatred of people not doing their jobs. So I think that's pretty universal. Also, if you go back to the summer of 2016, what you're going to find is a lot of Rob supporting Trump.
Yeah.
Me saying, hey, I'm down for this. We need a change. Maybe this guy is a guy who's going to do it. What I don't like is the supporting of nationalist socialists in the streets, marching through Charlottesville and calling them different kinds of people, but always nice people. I don't like the way that my tax structure has changed and the fact that it's going to saddle the children I don't have, but maybe your children, with an additional $1 trillion in debt over the next 30 years. I don't like rolling back protections on the environment. I don't like being lied to. And basically everything that's happened since November 2016 has been, I'm going to sell you a bill of goods and I'm never going to deliver on it. So
I don't know if that, I've been thinking about it a little bit recently, watching the California drought documentary on Netflix. And I think that my overall point is that so many things have been going so wrong for so long, and everybody is responsible, that when it's so blatant like Trump, it's just like, I think that's the part that got me. Like, they have a secret water commission that basically decides how water is going to be distributed throughout the state of California, and it was like heavily backed by like corporate interests.
Yeah, of course.
And then fucked California out of like paying more for water than they were, and then that was what caused droughts and outages and stuff like that. I guess Trump is just so blatant about it that that's the part that like really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. And here's what I'll say. I know as a Trump supporter, I can hear your comments. I hear them from my parents all the time because my parents are very Republican. Corey hears them from his parents, his father, who's also very Republican. And it's one thing to say that you're not a huge fan, which is what you're saying, and he's doing great. The question I have for you is, what is he doing great on exactly?
Yeah.
We are having difficulties with North Korea, and the South Korean consulate is empty because we don't have anyone even in nomination to go be the ambassador to South Korea. We have problems with our European allies. We're cozying up to Russia again for the first time since the end of the Cold War, and much less deservedly this time. Putin is no Boris Yeltsin. So what I see is a guy who is really good at selling people. And clearly he sold you, and he sold a lot of people in the country, saying, I'm going to make America great again. I'm going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. Turns out, no, we're going to pay for it with higher tariffs on our goods, which means we pay for it. And we're also just going to build it out of money set in the budget.
Yeah.
So what is it exactly that he's doing that's so great? And I know I probably sound sarcastic, but I'm asking the question. What we go week after week, and we're talking about Trump, and we're looking for something positive, and I can't seem to find something. Because all I see is a guy who said, I'm going to be vacationing a lot less than Obama, but has been golfing 97 times in his first year as president.
And then to answer the question of why am I the only one here, how many subscribers do you have? It's also 10 o'clock p.m. on the Pacific Coast. And most of our audience is in the East Coast sleep on a Monday.
We are the official Baltimore podcast, now coming to you live from LA, so most of the people are on the East Coast and they're sleeping.
But you can join the several hundred subscribers that we have on the
on YouTube. Make sure
or on the podcast feed.
Yes,
iTunes
absolutely.
And stuff like that.
You could join the Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook. You'll get a lot of great discussion on there. I mean, listen. I think we have a very strong support cohort of listeners, and we would like you to come along every single week. So make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you tell a friend. Hey, I'd be more than willing to have maybe just like a bonus podcast where we get some people in the chat room. They ask some questions, we answer some questions, and we'll see how it goes. But I think for right now we have to.
Yeah, let's go on to the Baltimore corner.
Where you get the straight dope?
Yeah. So you spoke so much about Baltimore there.
Of course, yeah. So again, we are your Baltimore podcast, even if we're broadcasting from Los Angeles, and we have been following with rapt attention the GTTF trial that's going on. And I told you last week, and I'm going to tell you this week again, follow Justin Fenton on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because his
Rector too.
Yeah, but
Jane Miller.
Jane Miller's been doing a good job.
That's like the trifecta of great information on the GTTF.
Yes. And you're going to want to pay attention because if last week was ridiculous, this week has become even more ridiculous. The testimony that we are hearing from some of these officers is unbelievable. And I want to, just off the top, to make sure we touch on it, Gondo.
It kind of reminds me of, I wish I had a GIF of, like, from the newsroom where they're talking about getting Casey Anthony coverage.
Yes.
He's like, bombshell after bombshell today in the Casey Anthony trial. It's like bombshell after bombshell in the Baltimore Police Department corruption case.
But for the last day, Detective Gondo has been testifying, and what we heard from him is more of the same. Maybe he's putting the dates back to 2008, 2009, which is interesting for something for itself. But the point that really came out to me today was him tossing dirt on the grave of his fellow officer, which is ridiculous. So if you've been following the podcast for a couple of weeks or months now, I guess, we talked a lot about Detective Sean Suiter's apparent murder in the city of Baltimore. And I believe that it's summed up nicely in what your dad told you about the Sean Suiter case. What was that again?
They killed him?
Yeah. Even the very conservative, very pro-police father of the podcast is saying, oh, no, they definitely killed him. The cops definitely killed him.
Literally everybody. I was so fascinated when I was going around town. They were just like, I was just like, what do you think about the Suiter thing? Oh, he got killed by the cops.
Yeah.
No doubt. Like
everybody. So, and now Gondo is giving testimony.
I liked when Catherine Pugh was like, we don't like this kind of talk on the streets. I'm like, you don't think it's already on the streets? It's over. It's already everywhere. Everyone thinks this.
Things are bad when you're trying to make it look like suicide. When you're hoping for the best news that he actually shot himself. And that's not really what happened. He was murdered by his fellow officers. And what Gondo testified to today was that Sean Suiter was dirty as any of them. And that he had been part of these robberies back in 2008 and 2009 when he was on the VCID, what later became the GTTF, after they disbanded and then put the same officers in a new division to hide some of the crimes and dirt that they were doing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take a little walk down what-if way. Let's do that.
Okay.
So what if Sean Suiter had a pang of conscience? Yes. And he said, you know what? I've been involved in a lot of this bullshit for a long time, and I'm tired of it. I want to make the city a better place. So I'm going to go talk to the feds. And maybe there was some kind of agreement in place. Maybe not. Maybe he said, listen, I'm just going to tell you what I know. And I'm hoping that after the information I give you, you'll find it in your heart not to put me in prison, along with Detective Herschel, who's about to go to prison, and Detective Gondo, who's about to go to prison. And his fellow officers found out about this, and they're not happy.
No.
These are the same officers who will put a dead rat on your hood when it seems like you're talking to IAD. So they get him into a dark alley, they shoot him, and then lock down an entire neighborhood for weeks as they look for a shooter that they all know doesn't exist. Is that too much? Is that too far? Have I gone into the... I mean, listen, I'm a screenwriter, so maybe I'm fantasizing a lot of this, but...
I think you're on to something here.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty dead on. Now, here's the part you should really be everyone should be asking themselves. I know that this seems like a very Baltimore-centric story, but if you realize the levels of the corruption that is being exposed in this trial,
yeah,
it is flabbergasting. All the way up to the deputy police commissioner, who is resigning today, or is resigning now, but it came out during the trial at the end of last week. Right?
Yes.
It was like Friday of last week in the testimony that he helped cover up, tell the officers what to do when they were involved in a shooting of a citizen.
Yeah, how do you make a bad shoot a good shoot? Yeah. He was the coach.
He was telling them what to say in order to avoid any kind of trouble.
Yeah.
And, nope. Not something we're doing.
No. And here's the thing I'm upset about is, we as former Baltimoreans, we know to follow Rector and Fenton and Jane Miller. But there is almost no national news coverage about this.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder, listen, so yes, Baltimore is a corrupt city. And yes, drugs are bad there. Turns out a lot of the drug dealing was coming from the cops.
Yeah.
Pill City, which is...
$1 million in a year, by the way, of bail bondsmen. Was selling the drugs from the cops.
But Pill City, a book that we talked about a year ago now, whenever it came out, has now been shown to be completely false. True in its motivation, But it wasn't some big conspiracy amongst the drug dealers. It was the cops dealing the pills that they looted from the CVS.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, why is there not more news attention, national news, saying, hey, Baltimore's corrupt, look what's going on. But I bet you if we looked into Austin or Minneapolis or L.A.
See, here's the problem. It's not something I can describe in a sentence. Like, so for instance, with Freddie Gray, I can say, Freddie Gray, on a Sunday morning, ran from the cops and was caught and then beat and then put into the back of a paddy wagon. And some point between the first stop and the last stop, he suffered a life-threatening neck severance, and he died shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
And it was largely viewed as, because of the police department, that he was, the police officers in question, that he was hurt so badly.
Right. And you can make the few bad apples argument.
Right.
He came into two bad cops.
With that story, I told you that in 30 seconds.
Right.
And you basically get the gist of what happened.
Yeah.
We can go into a lot of details about like what happened with security camera footage and what happened with the raw video footage that was put up on Baltimore Police Department YouTube pages and stuff like that. But
yeah.
That's just going way too deep. In this one, it's just so hard to properly explain the scope of what is being discussed.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to probably Justin Fenton or Kevin Rector writing a book about this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think Fenton's got his chance.
All in one tome where you can read it all.
Yeah. But, so, there is no national news attention. We are getting the local news, and they're doing an outstanding job. But make sure you're following along, because it's appalling, the amount of corruption. And it really should be national news, because it's national story. Philadelphia, getting drugs from Baltimore. D.C., getting drugs from Baltimore. They're flying in weed from the Pacific Northwest to sell in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't comprehend the amount of police corruption. And I've said it before, that basically the Baltimore police are a gang. They all wear the same colors. They all have the internal mantras. And although they're supposed to be working as cops, they really just use that as a way to get around everything.
Yeah.
Get around being investigated. Because we looked into it, and we've investigated ourselves, and we found that there was no wrongdoing.
Yeah.
But it's unbelievable to me, the level of corruption. And here's the best thing. Back when I was an attorney, I would always save my best witness for last. That's the guy you're going to put.
That's the one you want to leave with the jury.
Oh, yeah.
You want them thinking about that one as they go into the deliberation.
And especially because it looks like neither of the detectives are going to testify in their defense.
So they might.
Yeah, they might.
I've heard rumors that they realize that this is such a lost cause.
Yeah.
That they might just go up on the stand and then light the fucker on fire.
Maybe. And God, I hope that they do. Which would make them the better. But, I mean, the defense is going to have very little evidence to offer. Because what do you offer in light of all of the things that have been said?
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably going to be some character witnesses saying, my guy's a good guy. And, oh, yeah, you put Gondo on the stand and he was dirty. And you put Ram on the stand and he was dirty. And but that doesn't mean my guy's dirty. And now they lied then. Now they're lying again. But other than that, you can't really put up any definitive evidence that he's not guilty of what he's being charged with. But we have one more witness left. One more state witness. And, I mean, I'll be very disappointed if they put up, like, an accountant.
Technically a federal.
A state's witness. But I'll be really disappointed if it's a boring accountant or somebody who's just, like, running through the odds and ends. It would be very bad trial practice to do that after everything you've heard.
No, if he comes in with, like, a jawbreak, like, a completely, like, a mind-exploding number. Like,
True.
He's like, yeah, so I just did the basic math on how much drugs have been sold by the Baltimore Police Department, and it is equal to about 70% of all Baltimore drug traffic. And you're just like,
what?
Like,
there is no drug problem in Baltimore. There's a cop problem in Baltimore.
Like if they had the accountant do that,
yeah,
that's a good one to leave us on.
Or the accountant says in my estimation, the amount of overtime fraud in the city is equal to the amount we've spent on schools for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, because again,
we could have built a new Camden Yards with the amount of money we've been spending.
That's another side of it. Drug dealing and acting like gang members, shooting people, and trying to put away drug dealers by breaking the law and all of that is horrible. But when you have a city that is struggling to pay its bills, and you're cutting services to people, and you're cutting, especially schools, that the budget on schools is way lower, it's a third of the police budget, because overtime is basically open to anyone. You can take any amount of time you want. Some guys were doubling their income or more based on the overtime.
Yeah.
And it turns out all of that was fraudulent. That is a cruelty that is unspeakable, especially when these guys are living in the county or living in Pennsylvania, so their kids aren't the ones being hurt by these policies. Yeah. They get to avoid it completely, take money from the city, and go spend it elsewhere. And by the way, we've heard a lot from Trump talking about how all these immigrants are making money here and sending it back home, which is basically the only reason that some of the Central American countries are surviving is all the American dollars. But that's happening in Baltimore right now, and it's a much bigger problem than anything having to do with buoying democracy in the Central American area, which, by the way, it is. This is a huge problem and impacting American citizens directly, and not a comment. No worry, this is not a problem. The Mayor Pugh, who I'm sure you want to tear into, has basically ignored the problem. Any thoughts about Mayor Pugh?
Yes. Listen, I've talked before about the idea of a take your medicine mayor and how desperately Baltimore needs one. Part of being a take your medicine mayor, and listen, you don't have to do all the bad parts of the take your medicine mayor. You don't have to go in knowing you're never going to get reelected. You don't have to go in and do all the extreme things that absolutely need to be done, but could possibly wait.
Yeah.
You don't have to say, we're starting construction now to fix all the water pipes. Because somebody in your office says, we can technically wait 10 years before we do the wholesale replacement of all these old water pipes. So you're just we'll leave that one for another day. Let somebody else's problem be that one.
Until all the pipes just burst all at once.
Yeah. And you take a medicine mayor turn.
Yeah.
But the number one responsibility of the take your medicine mayor should be if you walk in and you realize that shit is just way out of control, you have to just have a press conference and say, hey, I'm Mayor Pugh. Shit is out of control right now. I don't know if you know this, but this Baltimore Police Department is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They are doing everything wrong. And I'm all over.
Yeah, you're all on my screen. That's kind. You're breaking the illusion.
They know that we're sitting next to each other.
We're in a huge studio.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yes. Which curtain? That one?
The one that's back there. I don't even understand. If I was a take your medicine president, for instance,
right?
I might hear all these juicy secrets that you learn when you become president, and then I might hold a first press conference where I come out and I say, holy shit, you guys, did you know aliens are real? That's part of being a take your medicine politician.
By the way, you're allowed to, because even if it's classified, you're the president.
Yeah, you can decide what's classified and unclassified. So. Aliens are real.
We saw them. Check out the videos on YouTube.
Pugh should be fired.
She can't be fired. She's an elected official.
She should be shot out of a cannon into the sun.
Hey, do your job or quit.
I don't understand how... Number one, this is one of those things that not knowing about is almost worse than having known about it and allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, granted, most of this corruption was happening during the last administration, and the one before that.
Yeah, the last two, which were pretty corrupt on their own.
Yeah, pretty corrupt on their own. But I'm saying, it's the type of thing that if you don't figure out that your police department is this fucking terrible from the get, then I don't know what to tell you. Yeah,
and when you start promoting people within the police department who are under investigation or have previously been or are now being named in the big trials, this is the problem. And if you don't come out there the day that stuff happened, the only thing she said about the trial at all,
say anything.
She said she stood out there with the commissioner, the current commissioner, the acting commissioner, when he said it's just a few bad apples. It's not a police force-wide problem.
She just graduated a ton of people from the police academy,
right?
Who, according to the instructor, do not know the law.
Right.
Like, and she was there. I don't. How does Justin Fenton not like jump out of like a trash can and be like, what's going on?
Because she doesn't take questions.
I know.
She just comes in and leaves.
It's fucking insane. There should be a crowd of people outside of City Hall who keep chanting and burning things until she comes out and speaks.
Wait, that reminds me of something. Why is that so familiar?
Sounds a lot. I don't know. Maybe I read it in a script.
You did. I have that script. Contact me. Uprising.
Yeah.
Look for it. It's coming.
Yeah, but I'm pretty. I feel like anybody who knew anything needs to go.
Which is everybody.
Anyone in City Hall, anybody in the police department, anybody in the mayor's office, anybody who knew anything needs to go.
How about the city council?
We need to have a brand new election.
Yeah, city council too.
Yep.
Most of them can go.
Yep. Honestly, I'd like to see jail time for a lot of just politicians and FOP members who knew this shit.
It's a bridge too far. I think you're asking too much.
Is it wrong that I want to have like political prisoners here for this?
I mean, listen, we could set up a camp. I'm all for that.
I don't know what could possibly be done. And
you know what? We could hold them in one of the housing projects that they're about to tear down and make into upper class housing.
Yeah.
Let's just let them live there with no power, where they have to do sexual favors for the super to get anything fixed.
Yeah, to get a pipe fixed.
Yeah, let's see how long you like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be making you live in the city of Baltimore where other citizens have had to live might be the best punishment. Might be better than jail.
Have you ever heard of Dog Food Day?
No.
Okay, so there's this thing. I don't know who started it, but one dog food company president said, our dog food is so good and so safe that I will eat it.
Oh, okay,
I will take a can of this, and I will eat the dog food while I do a press conference and like talk to everybody about it.
Yeah.
So you know that I would eat it. So therefore, it's sort of like the rule with directors has always been, don't ask actors to do anything you wouldn't do yourself.
Right.
So don't tell them to do something that you would not in your own life do.
Yeah. There'll be no nude scenes in any of Corey's films.
It'll be like never nude scenes.
Yes.
Just jean shorts in the shower.
Dog Food Day.
Dog Food Day. I think that we need to have sort of like like if you're going to be the mayor of Baltimore, you have to live to the bottom level of living standards of like the poorest. So like your government housing is in Perkins homes.
Yep. And
you have to just live in a 1-bedroom.
And hey, how about you don't yell at a kid on the side of the road?
Go to school.
Yeah.
Go to school.
How about you maybe, I don't know, take him to school?
Yeah.
How about that? That would be a good move to make. It's on the national and the state and the city level, there's like no hope. I have no hope at all. I mean, we've talked about this before. What does it matter?
I mean, you know what? It's so. What's weird to me is I like Hogan, and I think a lot of people like Hogan.
Yeah.
I don't know many people who love Hogan.
No, there are people who like that.
But people generally like him.
Those people who hated Martin O'Malley, especially.
Right. But I'm saying, even people who liked O'Malley seem to like Hogan too. Like, he's just a likable guy.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything completely dastardly evil, which helps.
It's a very low bar that we have in America today.
But I'm saying, it's so. I just wish that. You know how, earlier in this podcast we were talking about, knowing the Nunes memo and saying, how, easily we could deconstruct it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I feel like if you're a politician who finds out information like the entire Baltimore City Police Department is corrupt, and you don't come out and go, I have a shocking memo to detail all the outrageous things that have been happening, then you don't deserve to have the job.
Absolutely not.
If you, much the same as if you were a doctor, and you couldn't tell parents that their child had cancer or something like that.
Shouldn't be a doctor.
If you can't say the bad news, then you shouldn't be the doctor.
Everything's fine. No, he's going to be great. He's probably going to get a little tired and lay down a lot, but it's going to be fine.
Take him home. He'll be able to breathe again at some point.
Yeah.
Dr. Baker, things seem to be getting worse. Yeah, stop calling me.
It's going to be fine. I have a couple of colleagues I can send you to. He's going to be fine, though. He's going to be fine.
Yeah.
If you can't give the bad news, you don't deserve the job on the good days. And for Baltimore especially, there seem to be fewer and fewer good days. And we didn't even cross the fact that the police in America shot 239 people in January. 31 days, 239 people. Over 100 murders.
Yeah.
Over 100 died. That was 200 that were just shot, and over 100 of them died.
So that's like 3 a day.
Yeah. But you know what? We're making America great again. So
Yeah.
at least there's that.
Now that this guy has trolled and left, should we just go through all his questions one by one?
No, that's okay. But if you want to be...
Because I enjoyed some of these that I can read from a distance.
If you want to be like Unbearable Media and come join us for the podcast, as you can see, we absolutely answer questions from the live chat. So,
regardless of who you are.
Yeah. So if you want to come troll us, we answer your questions too. And of course, that's youtube.com/O The Anthem, where you can find all of our recordings at the day of. And of course, new episodes of the podcast will be up in audio format every Tuesday, so you don't want to miss out on that.
Though are white and cannot speak on behalf of a majority people of color city.
Yeah, I can't stick around for Baltimore talk. I think he's intimating that we are white and we can't speak on behalf of a majority people of color city. Well, listen, fella, we both live there.
Yeah.
I think we can speak pretty well for the whole thing. And we walked from Fells Point to home on the Fuck Turtle Day.
Yeah.
And I felt no fear. And I would not do that today.
No.
Walking through East Baltimore on the way back to the Inner Harbor. No, thank you.
And I would further, just because that particular comment just sort of hit me weird, is I've made this, I just want a thought on the way out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is important for how we're looking at the city in as this trial ends, which is I have often said that I don't, like, throughout history when we're talking about, like, how civil rights were at a certain point, like, I never thought I would be able to be, like, one of those people who's like, hey, get on the back of the bus.
Yeah.
Like, because I still, like, I personally just feel like I would be
It seems to go against all the Nazi beliefs that you've espoused on the podcast.
I'm saying that I think that it's important that whether you're white or black,
yeah,
whether you're white or black or Indian or Asian or anything, we should all hold up for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We should hold up for justice. And if it's white people holding up for justice for black people, that's just as important, you know?
Sure.
Like, it was all the part of what brought Baltimore together during the uprising was the fact that everybody was involved.
Yeah, including me.
Yeah.
We
were both down there at various points for various things. You were legal observing, which is way more than I was doing. But
just bodies. You've got to add bodies.
Yeah.
You have to add white bodies in the front where the police feel bad about shooting them. That's basically the policy.
Anywho, man, Baltimore's really bad. But you know what's really good?
What's that?
OTheAnthem.com. Corey to OTheAnthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. And you can find more of me.
Almost.
How many weeks?
Almost.
How many weeks? You can find more of me at CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, on Facebook at Corey Baker Film, Legend TV5 on Twitter, Instagram, and please subscribe to the YouTube page, which you can find on CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com.
And you can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can find links to my political blog, Founding the Future, the news website, deaddrop.com, and, of course, the books, which are available on Amazon.
By Rob's Books.
Thank you, sir. And, of course, I have new posts up for my Patreon subscribers this week, so make sure you check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, where you can get unseen scripts that have only been seen by this guy, and the judges at screenwriting competitions. You can find my video updates or my YouTube videos early, so make sure you check those out. All that's available, all bonus content on Patreon, so make sure you check it out. And, of course, subscribe to my channel, Robert and Cheek, just like everything else. And I have new videos, trying to get new videos out weekly if I can do that. And I think that it's about time to bring back the Rob Explains Everything series.
Ooh.
Been having some good talks with people at work, and I'm getting a lot of like good feelings from people who know YouTube. So I think you're going to be finding a new Rob Explains Everything video very soon.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Okay.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good, and I think Unbearable Media would agree with that.
But for Rob?
But as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast.
Trying to bring back an old staple.
Nope. Part of the O The Anthem Digital Network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Unbearable Media. Why did I think he was a Trump supporter?
I just knew off the top. I just knew. I mean, he could have had a guy saluting, doing the Nazi salute, the Bellamy salute.
Are we?
It would have been
real quick. Are we part of the Unbearable Media?
I think so. I think that we are
far less of a percentage because our subscriber count is so low.
Yes, yeah. By the way, guys, like and share with your friends. Hey, that's a great way to get our subscriber count up.
Great way to kick Unbearable Media in the dick.
Yes, if you hate Trump trolls, like and subscribe, and then share it to your friends and get them to subscribe as well. Anyway,
all right. Toodaloo.
We'll see you next week, guys.